Congress waived the whole environmental process for this fence, and I suspect what they're doing then is a very minimal environmental assessment as opposed to a statement. The EIS is the long, drawn-out paper, almost a book when they get through, but the environmental assessments are a lot simpler, and all they got to do is put some data in there that allows them to say that there's no significant impact. When they start chopping a swath through some of the wildlife refuges in the lower Rio Grande and putting in a fence, it's a heck of an environmental impact because it stops the movement back and forth of all kinds of animals, some of them endangered. You know, greatly disrupts all kinds of bird habitat, and once you've got a cleared swath through these refuges, it's an easy mark for house cats running loose and dogs running loose and anything else to get into the heart of some of those refuge lands. Now that doesn't get into at all the impact on the cultural environment, the impact on the people who have farmed along the river for a couple hundred years or more, where the country's too rough to put these physical walls in. They're going to have these virtual walls with 100-foot towers and strobe lights and video cameras and sound detectors, and they say they'll be able to identify a human being coming across from 10 miles away. They're going to have to cut a swath through the country, I don't know how wide, 30, 40, 50 feet wide, and the Border Patrol is going to have quick and easy access, either with helicopters or with vehicles along that virtual wall, and in a lot of ways it's going to have about as big an impact as the physical wall.
No, you're originally from Iowa.
Originally from Iowa, yeah.
How did you come to care so much about the Rio Grande?
Well, I worked in Big Bend National Park as a park ranger and naturalist from 66 through 69, 3 years. And this was shortly after I joined the Park Service in 66, went through training at the Alpine Training Center in Grand Canyon. Then this was my first really permanent Park Service assignment. I'd never been to the desert, had never seen the Rio Grande, and I got down here and down along the river to Rio Grande village of Oquias and down around Santa Elena, Castellona. My first impression was that this was as close to hell as you can get on Earth. But my wife and I both grew to love the color brown and the country, and I've never lived any place since that I liked better than the Big Bend country.
We're building this so we can take it to other universities and around Texas, around America, to see exactly what this wall is going to look like. So they can feel it, touch it, see it. And we're going to take it also to scenic areas along the river, so tourists, they can see that what exactly is going to black, and you won't be able to see that beautiful sunset anymore.
How would you describe the relationship between communities on this side of the river and communities on the other side of the river?
In a lot of ways they were one community. Towards Redford and on beyond to Ruidoso. It's basically one community on the two sides of the river. Everybody's related. Well, one of the highlights of a trip to Big Bend for the visitors was to cross the river at Oquias, typically on burros. Water was high on a little rickety riverboat, and same thing at Castellone. And then when I was a ranger down there, I got to know a lot of folks across the river. Some of them were friends. And they would come across the river to shop at the Rio Grande Village store run by the park concessionaire. And then again, you could walk over there, and I recall going over there one time when they had a cabrito festival or meet, and it's dark and there's little groups of men with their horses standing by them around fires right in the middle of the street, and just a real special scene that could take you back a long, long time. And that's all dead. The villages are lost most of their population because there's no way for them to make a living over there now that the visitors can't cross.
Do you think that the government increased security, national security, by closing those villages?
The little towns bordering the park, it's made it worse because the rangers in the park they knew the people over there and they kept in touch with them, and the people there would keep them informed if there were some really bad things, bad folks moving into town, keep them informed of what's going on across the river. Now there's none of that contact, and law enforcement rangers, and I doubt the Border Patrol has a clue what's going on across the border, so it really has made it worse.
Why do you think that the government isn't listening to people along the border who don't want a fence?
It seems like the further you get away from the border, the more worried the populace and thus the politicians become. The politicians wouldn't be worried if the people weren't complaining.
You know, the only people who benefit from stuff like this is the corporations who contract to get the bid for stuff like this. Those are the only people who benefit.
Yeah.
The ordinary people do not benefit.
Yeah.
I just think it's important that people understand the impact of a wall is going to have on just the walk of life of ordinary people who live along the border. How it's going to affect the culture, as Roger mentioned, the habitats of animals, migrating birds. It's just important that they understand, that the nation understands. I'm afraid that this wall, the same thing the communists used when they were building the Berlin Wall to protect and to stop certain elements from coming in, and now they couldn't wait to tear it down to bring the two Germanys back together.
Yeah.
This is 16 feet high, and the one they're building is going to be hundreds and hundreds of miles long.
It's just a terrible tragedy, and when the Texas governor says it's a stupid idea, I would hope that everybody else in the country agrees with him.